Welcome to Cruise Kibitz, where we give you all the advice that you didn't ask for. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cruise Kibitz. And today, we got something special for you, y'all. My name is Kiki. I'm from Team Reach Travels. My girls, Siobhan and Cheryl, are here as well. And we're going to give you a little something new. Are you ready for Kibitz on Deck? Yes. You heard it right. Kibitz on Deck. Brand new segment for Cruise Kibitz. And our first Kibitz on Deck is Miss Siobhan hanging out on the Scarlet Lady. We're going to be talking about the ship. We're going to hear a little bit about what her experience has been like on board. So without further ado, Miss Cheryl, why don't you go on and pop Siobhan the first question?
Man, I'm going to tell you, I wish I was there. So I'm so excited for you. But the first question I have is, what are 3 things that stand out about the ship to you?
Okay, so when we first boarded Scarlet Lady for the first time, this time the ship did already feel familiar. It felt like home. So there wasn't anything that immediately stood out that felt different. As you guys know, Virgin's all 5 ships are basically built by the same company and they look exactly the same. So it's almost like you were coming back home. The one thing that stood out the most as far as the ship was the boarding process. Boarding process was simple and quick. It has been the past 2 times that we've been on Virgin. It was completely different, of course, from the original time because we went doing the vid. So it was completely different than that time. But when we did Resilient in November and then turn around and doing the Scarlet Lady again, completely different. Easy process. Brandon did stuff he was supposed to do. We probably would have been on within like under 10 minutes, but we did have to do some housekeeping things before, and we were on the ship within 15 minutes. And not to mention, we were actually late getting to port because our whole flight situation with the weather. So we actually got here about an hour past our time, but we were still able to walk right on in and get on the ship. So we were on the ship within 15 minutes.
Okay, now another question I have is, have you noticed any major differences in the ship or the overall cruise experience since the last time you were on board?
Okay, so one thing I will say is that there's no roaming singers. When we first got on Virgin for the very first time, the singers were like just roaming around and playing the piano and just singing. And that is not a thing anymore. They have changed that up. And there are still singers on the ship, but they are timed performances, which is great. So I really love that. Y'all know Brandon is not like a huge foodie. And when we first sailed Virgin on the Scarlet Lady, the first time, I wasn't sure. It's because we didn't get to try a lot of places because he wasn't as food adventurous as I am. So now that he is willing to open up a little bit more and at least try things once, it gives me the opportunity to try some things. Like the first time we were on Scarlet Lady, he would not try pink goblet. He just did not like Mexican food. He wasn't about to do it. Now he's open to trying it, and I've actually been able to try almost every restaurant on the ship. I mean, we've been up here for 8 days, so we have a choice. But I've tried almost every restaurant on the ship, and the food is top notch. And they're not celebrity top notch, but they are close. They are in the running. So that really stands out for me, as well as once again being able to get on the ship and go directly to your cabin, and then them already setting the vibe for when you get on the ship. The DJ is playing. There are crew members that are welcoming you on board and just letting you know that you can go ahead into your cabin, settle in, and it's all like the vibe is already there. And I like that they don't have like fun team, or they don't have cruise director. They have a hostess. They have a happiness cast, which they call influencers, and they all have personalities, and they're known by their personalities, and they don't just like show up to the Lido deck and dance. They actually like go to different things. They go to events. They host the events. They're in with the people, they're in with the crowd. So that's what really stands out to me, is because they actually mix and mingle with the crowd and actually get to know you. And I feel like they have a little more liberties than other cruise lines would have.
All right. I'm feeling it. So y'all talked about what the ship is like, your first impressions, talked about what kind of stood out to you, talked about some major differences that you've noticed. What I want to know is, what things do you think Virgin can still improve upon based on your experience on this ship again?
Things I think they can improve upon. The first thing I would probably say is the app. The app really needs some work. When you're not on the ship, it really isn't the best, but also when you're on the ship, sometimes you have trouble. Sometimes the ship time versus the time that you're in is off. Just sometimes you can't pull up things, or it's hard to navigate. It's not really an easy app to navigate. So they definitely need to work on the app. I also think in the future, if they decide to build more ships, the bathroom is a major issue. They have to widen or make that bathroom a little bigger. If you're over 6 foot, you're just going to have a hard time in that bathroom. You're just going to have a hard time. And then, of course, if you got long legs, if you're sitting on the toilet to knee ratio ain't all that great either. So yeah, the toilet to shower ratio is not all that great either. So definitely the bathroom. And the other thing I would think they could probably improve upon would be the seating in the dining. So when you're in dining, the only place you really have community seating would be in Gun Bay, because it's that hot pot style restaurant, and it's all about your group and whoever you're with. So that being said, in some of the other restaurants, it's tight quarters. And I know it's because they're putting more people on ships, and there's really not a lot of place to put people, and you got to make sure everybody gets their dining times in and all that stuff. But it is tight quarters on this ship when it comes down to like dining, because you're really like next, like your neighbor could be sitting this close to you and having their dinner while you're having your dinner, and there's really not a lot of intimate space. And I don't think this is just a Virgin thing. We have noticed it on other cruise lines too, but it's definitely something that cruise lines need to work on.
Okay. So this is a question. This is my question. It's for me, because you guys have both sailed with Virgin before. So you both sailed, cruises that did not have children on them. I have never sailed on a ship that didn't have any kids on it. So is there a noticeable difference in your overall experience when you're sailing on a ship that literally does not have a single child on it?
Okay, yeah. So sailing with no kids. Sis, listen, I know you got a kid, and that is so understandable, but hear me out. Sailing on a cruise with no kids, that's a kid-free cruise, like not just getting on Celebrity, getting on, Royal, and you don't bring your kid along. No, like getting on the ship with no kids, it's really just a freeing vibe. It's almost like as soon as people step on the ship, they realize, I don't have to take anybody to the kids club. I can kind of do my own thing, and people are in their own moment. Like the vibe on the ship is completely different than it would be on any other cruise line, just because people are ready to have that break, ready to have that vacation. Maybe some people are already empty nesters. Maybe some people just don't have kids, and this is their preferred method of cruising. Maybe some people have adult kids. Maybe some people have young kids, and they just, we met couples that had young kids, and they're just like, they were grandparents. The vibe is definitely different when you walk on a ship and there are no kids, and there will not be any kids ever. It's just completely different. So yeah, you have to. Now, why you ain't try it? You gotta try it. Tell Ray I said let you try a kid-free cruise. It is totally worth it. And the one thing I do love about it is it has actually given Brandon and myself time to like really reconnect, rest, and have fun. So it's like it's you gotta try it. I can't even explain it. You gotta try it for yourself. We're having such a good time, and we're sad for it to be over, but it's been amazing, and we appreciate you letting us be the first Cruise Kibitz on decks.
Well, you know what, ladies? I think we should call this a podcast.
All right, y'all. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate it. Oh, happy cruising.